Dr. Tom Prichard.
Ain't nobody that can beat us, Dave, bro.
Well, maybe not. Before you get started, you got double duty coming up this week due to the shenanigans that happened in the match against Dutch Mantell and hurting Eddie Marlin.
Due to the shenanigans, there ain't no shenanigans. Me and Prichard just beat everybody's brains out.
Before you get going, if y'all just calm down for a minute, take a look at this videotape right here.
You know something, when I first came back here, I'd heard so much about Eric Embry. I've heard so much about the flamboyant one, that he had done this and he had done that, and he beat this guy and he beat this guy, and I heard people say, hey, when you climb in the ring with Eric Embry, you don't know how it's going to come out. You may not even make it out in one piece. So when I got here, I was sitting in the dressing room one night, and there was Lawler sitting in that corner, and Jarrett and Fuller over here, and we were just talking back and forth, and I said something like, that Eric Embry's a pretty tough guy. And they all looked at me like I'd spit on the Pope. I said, what's the matter? He's not tough? They said, no. Who told you that? I said, that's just what I heard. They said, no, you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong, Dutch. He's not a tough guy. And then I had a match with him. And now I know I was wrong, because he ain't a tough guy. Lawler was sitting there that night. He said, Dutch, he couldn't whoop your old lady. It made me sort of hot at Lawler. I said, hey, what do you think? What do you think I'm married to? Some kind of Amazon or something? He says, no, but now I know he can't beat my old lady. She'd knock him out. But the reason Eric Embry has been successful, he's been surrounded. He surrounds himself with Tojos and Texas Outlaws and stuff like that. Embry, all you are is a big, fat, obnoxious, out-of-shape, big mouth, low-life, egg-sucking dog. Now, I know I probably left some things out there, but that's exactly what you are, and I bet if you polled the wrestling fans, they'd all agree with me 90%. Which leads me to one thing, Tom Prichard. Now, Prichard, let me tell you one thing. You're a much better athlete than Eric Embry. Eric Embry can't even tie your shoelaces, so why are you running around being a flunky and a stooge for a guy who can't even tie your bootstraps? I don't know why. But if it hadn't been for you, Prichard, climbing that cage and getting in, I'd have beat Eric Embry. Now, we got a match coming up next week. Me and the Dirty White Boy against Prichard and Embry. And Prichard, I'm going to zero in. I'm going to zero in right on you. And I'm looking off to the side here because, Prichard, I'm going to knock some sense in you. I'm going to give you an awakening. I'm going to wake you up. And then the next time you climb a cage, you'll be climbing it for me. I'm going to give Embry the Dirty White Boy. And Prichard, I'm going to own you the next time we step in the ring.
The words from Dutch Mantell.
First of all, let's just get something straight. If you want to look up the word stooge or funky in the dictionary, you'll find a big picture of Dutch Mantell. When you talk about the mold of Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, Robert Fuller, Jeff Jarrett, you gotta put Dutch Mantell right along with them, because he's been a stooge in this area and every area he's ever been in. He may have had a reputation, and he may have come in, and he may have done some things in his time. But you know something, Dutch? I saw you get down on the floor of this studio and talk about how low you can get. I saw you get down and say, let's get low, let's get down and dirty, Dutch. Well, I'll tell you this. If you want to get low and you want to get down and dirty, you're looking at a guy who's not only low, I'm unfaithful, I'm unloyal, I'm every dirty, despicable word in the dictionary that you want to talk about. And people like you, Dutch Mantell, you turn my stomach. And you talk about great athletes. I don't appreciate anybody, a wannabe Texan like you, talking about a great Texan like Eric Embry and myself. We're the only true Texans in the USWA that have done what we said, and we say what we do. Eric Embry has accomplished everything he's ever set out to do in his career, Dutch Mantell, while you're still looking for Stan Hansen.
Hey,
You know what's happened, Tommy? You know what's happened? Eddie Marlin's rubbing off on Dutch Mantell, man. Eddie Marlin's running off you, man.
Let me stop you, since you mentioned Eddie Marlin, as a matter of fact. You've got more problems than just Dutch Mantell. After what you did to Eddie Marlin, here's what Eddie has to say about it. You watch this.
That's right.
Thanks, Dave. I won't take but a minute of your time. This interview is primarily for Eric Embry. And Eric, I hope you're watching. I hope you see it and can hear it. You notice I'm sitting at my desk in the office. And the main reason I came into the office today was to write out your termination papers. And as I got started, the phone rang. It was Jeff Jarrett and Robert Fuller. Jeff said, "What are you doing, Pops?" And I said, "I'm getting rid of Eric Embry. I've had it. I've took all I can take from Eric Embry." He said, No, Pops, please don't get rid of him. Give us this one match with him." So after I hung up, I was sitting here writing. I was thinking, well, I fire him. He'll just go to some other company. Maybe he won't make as much money, but he'll still be wrestling. And if I give Jeff and Robert the match, then I'll probably get the satisfaction of sitting Eric Embry and hopefully watching them drop you on your head on that concrete floor, just like you did me. So, Eric, that's the only reason you're still being booked with the USWA. And there's one other thing that I want you to hear, and listen well, Eric Embry. Like I say, I've had it up to my neck with Eric Embry. The minute the doctor says I'm all right, I take this brace off. I'm not going to sign a match, Eddie Marlin and Eric Embry. But I'm going to tell you one thing, Eric Embry. It's not over, big man, between you and me. I'll see you somewhere, and you will pay. That's a promise.
Eddie Marlin with word.
Hey, shut up! Twice you've interrupted me, man. Now, Eddie Marlin, if you can see my boots, you can see that I'm just shaking to death in them, man. And you've had it up to your neck with me. You gotta fire me. Why don't you fire me, Eddie Marlin? Why don't you fire me, man? Because you ain't got the guts. Because I take the Southern Heavyweight title out of here and it go down in the history books that nobody, and I mean nobody, ever pinned flamboyant Eric Embry's shoulders to the mat. Now, big hot shot Robert Fuller and Jeff Jarrett. Golden boy, simply irresistible, whatever you are, you're still a snotty-nosed punk, Jeff Jarrett. Now, we've roughed up his grandpa, and you're going to come to the rescue of grandpa with that Tennessee stud. Well, it's real simple, Dave Brown. There ain't no 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can keep on counting. People on the face of God's green earth that can beat Eric Embry and Tom Prichard. So, Eddie Marlin, you keep lining them up. But like you said, one shot, one match, Fuller, one match, Jarrett. That's all you guys are getting is one shot. And Eddie Marlin, I hope to the man upstairs that the doctor tells you to take the brace off and come looking for me.
Tell the truth and it'll set you free.
I'll tell the truth right now.